Everyone in this town knew I was the love of Isabella Croft's life. We'd been together for 7 years. But tonight, at the Starlight Awards, she walked the red carpet on another man's arm. And with a single sentence, she snatched the honor that should have been mine and handed it to him. Later, swarmed by reporters, I made an announcement of my own. I'm getting married. I hope you'll all come celebrate with us. The moment the words hit the air, I saw her, the untouchable Isabella Croft, throw back a glass of whiskey, her eyes burning red. It had all started an hour earlier. I'd shown up to the award show in a tailored tux, but I was alone. A reporter from Variety shoved a microphone in my face. "Leo, flying solo tonight? Where's Ms. Croft?" Before I could form an answer, a fresh wave of commotion erupted at the entrance. The press swarmed like sharks smelling blood. A major power player had arrived. Through the sea of flashing cameras, I saw her. Isabella, draped in a glittering couture gown, holding tight to another man's arm. They were so close, they looked like newlyweds on their honeymoon. A hush fell over the lobby. For 7 years, Isabella Croft had been my girlfriend. Born into the kind of wealth that makes kings look middle class, she was the finish line everyone else was still running toward. She only ever attended these events with me. To see her with someone else wasn't just a surprise, it was a statement. I recognized the guy, Caleb Shaw. He'd been a nobody, a third-rate actor doing bit parts, until he'd suddenly blown up a few months ago. Now I understood why. With Isabella Croft backing you, you don't just get a career, you get an empire. It'd be harder not to become a star. Our eyes met across the crowded room. Hers were filled with an icy indifference I'd never seen before. I didn't linger. I turned and walked away. I headed for the restroom to splash some cold water on my face before the ceremony started. When I came out, I found Isabella leaning against the marble wall of the corridor, scrolling through her phone. She was waiting for me. I tried to walk past her to pretend she was just another guest, but she shot out a hand and grabbed my wrist. "Are you done with your little tantrum?" My tantrum? I was the one who had been publicly humiliated, not her. And I didn't have the luxury of throwing tantrums. She was Isabella Croft, heiress to a corporate dynasty. I was just an actor who, according to the tabloids, had gotten by on his looks. I forced a polite, empty smile. "Ms. Croft, I have no idea what you're talking about. The show is about to start. Excuse me." I began to peel her fingers from my arm, one by one. Her expression hardened, the warmth draining from her face. "Leo Vance, if you walk away from me right now, you will regret it." I stopped and looked her straight in the eye. "No," I said, my voice low and steady. "I won't." I turned and walked toward the ballroom without a backward glance. Her voice, sharp and angry, followed me down the hall. "Do you have any idea how easy it would be for me to take away your award tonight?" I wanted to laugh. Of course I knew. For someone with her power, destroying my career would be as easy as deleting a contact from her phone. But this time, I wasn't going to bend. Let her take it. By the time I got back to my seat, the pre-show buzz was in full swing. My agent, Sarah, nudged me with her elbow. "What the hell is going on?" she whispered. "Why is Isabella here with Caleb Shaw? Did you two have another fight?" "We broke up," I said, my voice flat. Sarah didn't look particularly shocked. In her mind, fights between Isabella and me were just part of the routine. We always made up. "Come on, Leo. You're a grown man. Stop picking fights with your girlfriend. Just go over there and smooth things over." She tilted her head toward the front of the theater. "Or that Caleb kid is going to walk away with your life." I followed her gaze. Isabella and Caleb were seated in the front row, prime real estate reserved for A-list legends, Oscar-winning directors, and the studio heads who own them all. Like Isabella, I knew what Sarah was thinking. I shouldn't be making waves with a woman who held my entire future in the palm of her hand. One fight, one misstep, and someone else would be happy to take my place. But this wasn't something I could fix by apologizing. My nails dug into my palm as I watched them, laughing together, looking for all the world like the perfect couple. "It's over, Sarah," I said, my voice leaving no room for argument. "For good." Isabella and I were together for 7 years. She was the billionaire's daughter, born with a silver spoon in her mouth and a boardroom waiting for her. She was surrounded by brilliant, powerful men, but everyone in our circle knew I was the one she loved. She funneled the best scripts my way. She personally financed my passion projects. If I so much as texted her, "I miss you," she'd be on a private jet, no matter where in the world she was. But I was always jealous, always starting fights over the tabloid photos of her with some European royal or tech mogul. We fought about it constantly, and every single time, she would be the one to come to me, her pride swallowed, and beg me to take her back. Everyone told me to stop being so childish. A woman like her was bound to have rumors swirl around her. She was beautiful, powerful, and unbelievably rich. Being with her meant I could skip a lifetime of struggle. Men would kill to be in my position. They all told me not to look a gift horse in the mouth. But beneath all the money and power, we were just a couple. I couldn't see her with other men and not feel the sting of jealousy. Isabella would always hold me close and soothe my ego. "It's just noise, baby," she'd whisper. "You're jealous because you love me. The day you stop getting jealous is the day I'll know you don't love me anymore." So this, with Caleb, was just another one of her tests. She was flaunting him in my face, trying to provoke a reaction. She was reminding me that she had options, that I was replaceable, and that if I didn't behave, she could discard me at any moment. That's when Sarah finally asked the real question. "Why did you break up with her this time?" A bitter laugh escaped my lips. "She's getting married," I said quietly, "and she asked me to be her secret lover on the side." The look on Sarah's face was pure shock. "That's insane." "Yeah, insane. That was one word for it. We had been together for 7 years. People talk about the 7-year itch. How if you can survive it, you can survive anything. I'd imagined our wedding 1,000 times, pictured a quiet life after the cameras stopped flashing, filled with the simple rhythm of everyday love. Now, all that was left was an offer to be the other man. I found out about her engagement at a charity gala a few weeks back. Damian Prescott, the heir to the Prescott fortune, was there. His family was on the same level as the Crofts, a true American dynasty. Everyone was fawning over him. Sarah pushed me to go say hello, to network. When I introduced myself, Damian looked me up and down with a dismissive smirk. "So you're the pretty boy actor. Isabella's pet project." The insult landed like a physical blow, but I kept my composure. We'd never met. I had no idea why he was being so hostile. "Mr. Prescott, you shouldn't spread rumors." He laughed. "It's not a rumor if it comes from the source," he said, his voice dripping with condescension. "That's how Isabella described you to me." He took a sip of his champagne. "We're getting married next month." I don't think she'd have any reason to lie. His words were like 1,000 tiny knives piercing my heart. I could barely stand. I had no reason to doubt him. The Croft and Prescott empires were titans of industry. A merger between the two families was a strategic move, so obvious a child could see the benefits. And Isabella was, above all else, a brilliant strategist. I don't remember how I left the gala. I just remember confronting Isabella about it later. She didn't show a shred of remorse. In fact, she seemed perfectly relaxed. "It's just a business arrangement, Leo," she said, as if explaining a quarterly report. "Damien and I will be married on paper, but we'll have our own separate lives. Nothing has to change between us. You don't need to worry." She paused, then delivered the final blow. "You can be my lover. My heart will still be yours. My money will still be yours. Everything but my name." My hands clenched into fists. A dry, humorless laugh escaped my throat. It was absurd. The woman I'd spent 7 years of my life with was marrying another man and offering me the position of her kept man. I looked at her face, the face I had loved so deeply, and for the first time, she looked like a stranger. We had held each other, kissed, shared a bed countless times. We had sworn we'd be together forever, that we'd have a kid, a big, loud boy, and grow old together. In that instant, everything beautiful I felt for her curdled and died. "Isabella," I asked, my voice hollow, "in your eyes, was I ever anything more than just your lover?" She wrapped her arms around my waist, her usual tactic, and started murmuring the old, familiar lines. "Of course not. You're my husband, my baby. You know how much I love you. You're the only one for me." It was always the same script, a string of tired cliches meant to disarm me, and always used to work. I always fell for it because I truly believed we would end up together, that we could overcome any obstacle. But I'd been wrong, so incredibly wrong. For the first time ever, I pushed her away. I stared directly into her eyes. "What about Damian Prescott? After you marry him, are you going to sleep in his bed? Have his children to carry on the family name?" Her face fell. She was silent for a long time. Maybe it was a detail she hadn't bothered to consider. Or maybe she just couldn't bring herself to admit the truth. She couldn't deny it. The Prescotts had only one son. They would demand an heir. I fought back the lump in my throat, my voice raw. "I won't be your lover, Isabella. We're done." In 7 years, through countless fights and arguments, I had never once said those words. This was the first time. Panic flashed in her eyes. "Leo, don't you love me anymore? What about our promise? We were supposed to be together forever until we were old and gray. Have you forgotten all of that?" I haven't forgotten a thing. The grief I'd been suppressing finally broke through, hot and sharp, and my eyes began to burn. "But I wanted to be with you in the light, Isabella, for a lifetime, not as some dirty little secret you keep in the dark." Just then, from the street below our apartment, the faint sound of a vendor's call drifted up through the window. Roasted chestnuts. Get your hot roasted chestnuts. The sweet, smoky smell hit me, and I was suddenly transported back to our first meeting. We were at the same university in New York. I hadn't made a name for myself yet, and she hadn't taken over her father's company. We both loved the roasted chestnuts from the cart just outside campus. One cold afternoon, I bought the very last bag. She tugged on my sleeve, her eyes wide and sparkling, and swallowed nervously. "Excuse me," she said. "Could I buy that bag from you? I'm really craving them." Her earnestness made me smile. "I won't sell them to you," I said, "but I'll share them with you." We met over a bag of roasted chestnuts, and now it felt like we were ending things with them, too. Tears I didn't know I was holding back began to slide down my cheeks. I tried to wipe them away, but they just kept coming. My voice broke. "You never wanted to marry me, did you?" Tears welled in her eyes, too. She couldn't finish. She had no explanation because it was the truth. She had never, ever planned to marry me. For 7 years, I had been a fool. I should have known. I had brought up marriage so many times, and every time, she had an excuse, a reason to put it off. And like an idiot, I believe her again and again. How could I have been so naive? How could I have ever thought someone like her would marry someone like me? I understood the logic of it all, but that didn't stop the pain. My heart felt like it was shattering into a million pieces. I turned to leave, but she grabbed me, holding on tight, begging me not to go. For the first time, I yelled at her. "Isabella, it is over." Her face contorted with rage. "Leo, you will regret this." I walked out without looking back. In the weeks that followed, my world fell apart. Endorsement deals were canceled. Roles I'd been promised were suddenly recast. The parts Sarah fought tooth and nail to get me were handed to Caleb Shaw on a silver platter. Isabella was certain that if she took everything from me, I would come crawling back. Back in the ballroom, she had just repeated her threat. "You will regret it." I knew she meant it. I knew she could do it. So when the host stepped up to the podium to announce the award for Best Actor, I wasn't entirely surprised when the name he called wasn't mine. And the Starlight Award goes to Caleb Shaw. A wave of shocked murmurs rippled through the audience. How could an award this prestigious go to a newcomer like Caleb Shaw? I had been in this business for 7 years, with a string of critically acclaimed films under my belt. My work, my dedication, everyone had seen it. Sarah had even gotten a tip from an inside source, confirming the award was mine. Everyone knew it was supposed to be mine. The sudden twist had everyone whispering. Sarah's face went pale. She grabbed my arm. "What happened? How could it be Caleb?" I didn't say a word. I just watched as Caleb, feigning shock, walked up to the stage to accept his award. And I watched as Isabella turned in her seat to look back at me, her eyes cold and triumphant. Her gaze said it all. "This, Leo, is what happens when you cross me." Sarah saw Isabella's look, too. Her hand fell away from my arm. "Jesus," she breathed. "She's playing for keeps this time." Years of my life, all my hard work, erased by a single sentence from Isabella. She was ruthless. I remember telling her that if I won this award, I would give the trophy to her. She had smiled, her face bright with joy. "Of course. Let me keep it safe for you. A testament to your 7 years of hard work." She didn't keep it safe. She took it. She crushed it. And the heart that had beaten only for her was slowly dying. The host then turned to Isabella. "Ms. Croft, as Caleb's companion tonight, and the person who discovered him, do you have anything you'd like to say about his incredible win?" The camera zoomed in on her face. She stood, the picture of grace and power. "I believe Caleb's win is well-deserved," she said, her voice smooth as silk. "I've seen his dedication firsthand." Then, she turned her attention to the front row, directly to Marcus Thorne, one of the most respected directors in the industry. "Marcus," she said sweetly, "I was wondering if you might consider Caleb for the lead in your next film." My blood ran cold. My heart skipped a beat. Isabella knew perfectly well that Marcus Thorne's next film, his last film, the one project I had left, was mine. I had auditioned for months to earn that role. It was the only thing she hadn't managed to take from me yet. Now, here she was in front of the entire industry, putting him on the spot. It sounded like a question, but it was a command. No one in this town was powerful enough to say no to Isabella Croft. Sure enough, Marcus Thorne forced a smile and took the microphone. "Of course, anyone you recommend, Isabella, is sure to be exceptional." In that moment, it felt as though all the joy and hope had been sucked out of me. A suffocating darkness settled in my chest. She wasn't just trying to break me. She was trying to erase me. I couldn't take it anymore. I stood up and walked out of the ballroom, leaving the applause for Caleb Shaw behind me. Sarah hurried after me. "I'll get the car," she said, her voice soft, not knowing what else to say. "Let's just get you home." I had never been the first to leave these events. Usually, I was surrounded by directors, producers, and colleagues, talking shop until the early hours of the morning. But now, Isabella had stripped me of everything. I was a ghost. No one was looking for me anymore. The fall from grace was a long, lonely one. While I waited for Sarah, a sleek, black Maybach pulled up to the curb and stopped in front of me. Isabella stepped out. She was wearing Caleb Shaw's tuxedo jacket over her shoulders. Her eyes, framed by impossibly long lashes, held a look of absolute confidence. "Regret it yet?" she asked, her voice calm. "I told you that you would." She took a step closer, her tones softening, as if she were consoling a child. Or maybe she was just consoling herself. "Leo, there's no need to be embarrassed. Just come back to me. I'll give it all back. We can go back to how things were." I almost laughed. Did she really think I would fold that easily? The old me would have. But not anymore. "No regrets," I said. "My only regret is ever being with you." If I had never met her, my heart wouldn't be in this much pain. Her face fell, the confidence vanishing, replaced by a flicker of hurt. Without another word, I got into Sarah's car, and we drove away, leaving her standing alone on the curb. Because of Isabella, my once-packed schedule was now completely empty. Sarah said I was effectively on ice. I couldn't even get an audition for a web series, let alone a film. "Well, kid," she said over the phone, "you really pissed her off this time. But look on the bright side. You've been running yourself ragged for years. Take a break. Get some rest. I'll call you when the coast is clear." She was right. I had been working nonstop for 7 years, living out of suitcases, jumping between film sets and press junkets. I was exhausted. A break was exactly what I needed. It was a chance to go home and see my grandma. My parents died when I was young. My grandma raised me, and she was the one who scraped together enough money to send me away from our small town to pursue my dreams. Since I made it, I had been so busy I rarely got to see her. I just sent money. I knew she missed me. The day before I left, I got a call from Isabella's housekeeper. "Mr. Vance, have you and Miss Croft had a fight? She's been in such a terrible mood since you left. She's making all of our lives miserable." I just grunted in response. "So, when are you coming back?" she pressed. "I can make you both your favorite dinner, or I could send a driver to pick you up." "Isabella and I broke up," I said flatly. "Didn't she tell you? You don't need to call me for dinner anymore." Before I could finish, I heard a loud crash on the other end of the line, the sound of glass shattering. Then, Isabella's voice, raw with fury, ripped through the phone. "Then get the hell out, and don't ever come back." She had been there the whole time, listening. I should have known. This was one of her old tricks, using the staff to test the waters when her pride wouldn't let her call me herself. But what was the point now? It was too late to fix what she had broken. When the bus pulled into the station, Grandma was already there waiting for me, a woven basket on her back. The moment she saw me, her face crinkled into a smile that erased every wrinkle. She rushed over and shoved a glass bottle full of hot water into my hands. "Here, warm yourself up. It's freezing out." Looking at the bottle, the price tag still half peeled off, a lump formed in my throat. I was 30 years old, but to her I was still the little boy who needed his hand held across the street. She looked behind me, scanning the empty platform. "Isabella didn't come with you?" I froze for a second. She had to work. It was too last minute. Next time, elite. I couldn't bear to worry her with my problems. If my sweet, simple grandmother knew what had happened, she would be heartbroken. She didn't press. She just took my hand, her grip surprisingly strong, and beamed. Never mind. Let's go home. Grandma's going to make you a pot roast." The house I'd bought for her was in town, and I'd hired a full-time caregiver. But Grandma was used to a life of work and couldn't sit still. She insisted on doing everything herself, like right now, rolling out dough for dinner rolls with the practiced ease of a master chef. The caregiver just stood by, looking redundant. I sent the caregiver home for a while, telling her I'd be here to help. Grandma looked surprised. "Are you staying for a while?" I walked over and started helping her season the vegetables. "Yeah, I might stay through the holidays." I didn't give her a specific timeline. I didn't have one. As long as Isabella wanted me gone, I had nowhere else to be. "Leo, did you and Isabella have a fight?" Grandma asked suddenly, her hands never stopping their work on the dough. My own hands paused over the bowl of vegetables. I should have known I couldn't hide anything from her. "You, my boy, have never been able to hide your heart from me," she said, not even looking up. "When I met you at the station, I could see a big, dark cloud hanging right over your head." She knew me better than anyone. I gave up trying to pretend. "We broke up, Grandma." I kept it simple, leaving out the ugly details. She knew me well enough to understand that the things I didn't say were the things that hurt the most. She just nodded. "You and Isabella are both good kids. Sometimes good people just aren't meant to be together forever. It's no one's fault." She looked at me then, her eyes full of a wisdom that went beyond words. Think of these past 7 years as a long trip you took together. Now the trip is over, and it's time for you both to start a new journey on your own paths. Her words were like a key unlocking a cage I hadn't realized I was in. Until that moment, I'd been replaying our entire relationship in my head, over and over, trying to understand how the person I was closest to in the world could see me as nothing more than a lover. The more I thought about it, the more lost I felt. But Grandma was right. Dwelling on it would only keep me trapped. It was a 7-year trip, and now it was over. I had to let it go. I understand, Grandma. A weight I hadn't known I was carrying lifted from my shoulders. For the first time in weeks, I felt light. I even found myself enjoying the simple task of helping her in the kitchen, something I'd always been too impatient for. Grandma, I announced with a grin, I think I can eat this entire pot roast by myself tonight. She laughed, a joyous, unburdened sound. Good. Tonight, you eat until you're full. The next morning, Grandma woke me up early to go to the farmer's market. I hadn't been since I was 10 years old. Back then, it was the highlight of my week. It meant hot fried dough and candy apples. The town had changed. The streets were cleaner, more paved, but the vendors seemed to be the same people, just a little older. The middle-aged man hawking shoe polish, the woman selling fresh bread from a basket, the old man with his cart of candy apples. It was all so comfortingly familiar. For a little while, I forgot all the ugliness I'd left behind in L. Here, I didn't have to be a brand. I didn't have to play the game. I could just be. I walked down the main street, letting the memories wash over me. Suddenly, a familiar voice called out from behind me. Leo. I turned to see a girl with short hair and a white scarf running toward me. Grandma saw her, and her face lit up. Lily, you're home for Christmas. The girl's smile was as warm as the winter sun. Of course. I come back every year. Lily. The name brought back a flood of memories. When Grandma and I still lived in the old house out in the country, the neighbors had a granddaughter named Lily Summers. She was a sweet, bright-eyed girl. Because I was an orphan, most of the other kids avoided me. But not Lily. She would play cards with me, share her meticulously wrapped fruit candies. Back then, my only snack was roasted corn kernels from Grandma's garden. I had never seen anything as magical as a fruit candy. I'd save the wrappers, pressing them between the pages of my books. I remembered one time a group of boys were making fun of me, calling me an orphan. Lily, who was half their size, picked up a rock and chased them off. Then she came back and hugged me. Don't be scared, Leo, she said. I'll protect you. Not long after that, her parents moved away and took her with them. We lost touch. Now, she stood in front of me, her long eyelashes blinking. Leo, do you remember me? I smiled. Of course I do. I've been so consumed by my career that I rarely came home. It must have been more than 10 years since I'd last seen Lily. While Grandma was busy haggling over vegetables, Lily and I walked down to a little coffee shop by the river. Here, she said, pulling something from her pocket. This is for you. I made it. It was a simple, hand-woven black cord bracelet. Dangling from it was a small, square silver charm engraved with the image of a horse. My birth year in the Chinese zodiac. I was touched. Why the sudden gift? She smiled, a blush creeping up her cheeks. No reason. I just hope things go well for you. That you find peace and happiness. I looked at her, the morning sun lighting up her porcelain skin. Time moves so fast. The little girl with pigtails was now a beautiful young woman. I slipped the bracelet onto my wrist. Thank you. Thank you for remembering me after all these years. The shop owner brought over 2 steaming mugs of tea. It was just a simple herbal blend, nothing fancy, but on that cold winter day, it warmed me from the inside out. For the first time in a long time, I felt like my new life was actually beginning. I had family. I had a friend. Maybe I thought I was actually one of the lucky ones. After we reconnected, I found out that Lily's parents had bought her grandparents a house right next door to ours, and she was planning to stay until after New Year's. Just like that, we fell back into our old childhood rhythm. We went for hikes in the snowy woods and wandered through the market. Sometimes she'd ask about my life these past few years, what it was like to be famous. She told me she'd watched all my movies and shows while she was living abroad. I'd just say it was good. To the outside world, I had fame and fortune. It should have been good, but they didn't know the price I'd paid. Lily never pushed. She just changed the subject and dragged me off to buy a candy apple. On our way home one afternoon, I saw it. A car that was so out of place in our quiet little town it might as well have been a spaceship. I stared for a few seconds, making sure my eyes weren't playing tricks on me. It was Isabella's Maybach. I told Lily to wait for me and walked over. Sure enough, Isabella was standing beside it, dressed in a black designer coat and heels that sank into the snow. She and her car looked like they were from a different planet. When she saw me, she rushed forward. Leo, The familiar scent of her perfume, expensive and overpowering, washed over me. I instinctively sidestepped, and her intended embrace met empty air. She froze, stunned by my coldness. But she recovered quickly, slipping back into her practiced, patient tone. Leo, please, come home with me. I shook my head. No, Isabella, I told you very clearly before. We're over. Please, stop interfering in my life. Her eyes instantly filled with tears. Is it because of her? She asked, her voice trembling as she glanced over my shoulder. Is that why you're rejecting me? I looked back. Lily was standing where I'd left her, a candy apple in her hand, watching us. Isabella had misunderstood, but I didn't want to explain. I didn't answer her question. I just said, go home, Isabella. There's nothing between us anymore. She grabbed my hand, her eyes pleading. Leo, what more do you want from me? What do I have to do to make you forgive me? I miss you so much. I haven't slept a full night since you left. Don't you know that? A bitter, self-mocking laugh escaped me. She still didn't get it. She thought this was just another fight, another problem that could be solved if she just apologized enough, and then I'd go running back to her like I always did. But I wasn't that fool anymore. I knew my place in her world now, and if I went back, it would be my own damn fault. An arranged marriage is a normal part of your world, I said, my voice dangerously calm. So let me ask you this. If I were the one getting married to someone else, and I asked you to be my lover, my secret on the side for the rest of your life, would you do it? The question stunned her into silence. No, you wouldn't. I answered for her. Because you're Isabella Croft. You could never be someone's mistress. It would be humiliating. But in your eyes, it's perfectly acceptable for me. Why? Because you never respected me, Isabella. In your heart, I was only ever good enough to be your lover, never your husband. But Damian Prescott is, because he can give you power, influence, and a merger that will make you both even richer. The words poured out of me, a torrent of all the pain and humiliation I had swallowed for weeks. Her face grew paler with every sentence. It's not like that, she stammered. I pulled my hand from her grasp and took a step back. Stop lying. You were just playing with me, weren't you? All this time, I closed my eyes, unable to look at her any longer. Isabella, what we had was real once. But it's over. We are really, truly finished. The Isabella the first loved was the college girl whose eyes saw only me. The one who fought her family to be with me. The one who swore over and over again that she would marry me one day. But that girl was gone. Now, for her, a business merger was her destiny, the next logical step to elevate her empire. So I was letting her go. She was free. She would never have to placate my jealousy again. She would never have to waste another second of her precious time on me. A sob escaped Isabella's lips, and tears streamed down her face. She clutched at her chest, as if she'd been shot. She begged me not to leave, told me she couldn't live without me. But watching her, I felt nothing. No pity, only a deep, weary annoyance at her endless drama. I turned my back on her and walked toward Lily. I could hear Isabella still behind me, her cries echoing in the cold air. Leo, don't go. I'm begging you. I kept my jaw tight and didn't say a word. I took Lily's hand and led her away. This time, I didn't look back. I didn't soften. We took a different path home, a quiet side street. We walked in silence, the only sound the crunch of our boots on the fresh snow. As we neared our houses, Lily finally spoke. Leo, whatever you're feeling, you can tell me, she said softly. Sometimes talking about it helps. She didn't ask what the fight was about. She just asked how I was feeling. Like my grandma, all she cared about was my heart. At this point, I had nothing left to hide. I was with that woman for 7 years. I began, the words tasting like ash. It sounds crazy, but she's marrying someone else and wanted me to be her lover. I let out a humorless laugh. Maybe I'm just not good enough for her. That's what it came down to. When faced with a choice between me and a business deal, she chose the deal without a moment's hesitation. Lily stopped walking and shook her head fiercely. No, you are wonderful. She's the one who isn't good enough for you. And when you're with someone, it's not about being good enough. It's about love. If she really loved you, she wouldn't be marrying someone else. She took a furious bite of her candy apple. Besides, she sounds like a total user. Her righteous anger on my behalf made me crack a smile for the first time all day. Yeah, I said, a total user. So don't be sad anymore. She pushed her other, untouched candy apple into my hand, her eyes full of conviction. Because things are going to get better. She was right. Things would get better. I couldn't let myself waste away any longer. A few days before Christmas, Lily confessed her feelings for me. She stood before me, holding a bouquet of roses, her gaze steady and bright. Leo, I'm in love with you. She rushed on before I could react. And I'm not saying this to pressure you. I just wanted you to know that you are a good person. A really, really good person. And you are worthy of anyone. She remembered what I'd said that day, that throwaway line about not being good enough. I had said it without thinking, but she had held on to it, worried that I believed it. I remembered our conversation after Isabella had left. She told me that the reason she came home every year for the holidays was in the hopes of seeing me. She had loved me since we were kids. She had worked hard, gotten her degrees, built a life for herself, all with the goal of one day coming back and finding me. Then one day, she learned I had a girlfriend, so she decided to keep her distance. But coming home for Christmas had become a habit she couldn't break. And this year, she finally found me. Lily stepped closer and offered me the flowers. Tucked among the roses was a small, open ring box. Inside was a simple, silver men's ring. I made this, she said, her voice a little shaky. And if it's okay, I wanted to ask if you would marry me. I had imagined proposing to Isabella 1,000,000 times. I never, in my wildest dreams, thought I would be the one being proposed to. In that moment, my frozen heart began to thaw. I took the roses from her, and with them, I accepted the love she had held onto for all these years. I looked at her, and a genuine smile spread across my face. I think I can. While Lily and I were starting to plan a small, quiet wedding, I got a call from Sarah. "You're not going to believe this," she said, her voice buzzing with energy. "My phone has been ringing off the hook. Brands, directors, everyone wants you back. And the network just called. They want you to perform on the New Year's Eve special in Times Square. This is it, Leo. This is your comeback." When I told Lily, she was my biggest champion. "Go," she said, her eyes shining. "I'll be waiting for you when you get back." So I went back to the city. When I arrived, I learned that the whole landscape of my old world had shifted. Sarah filled me in on the drive. "You're not going to believe the gossip. Isabella called off the wedding. Just pulled the plug. The Prescotts were so humiliated, they terminated every joint venture with Croft Industries. It's costing her family billions." She took a breath. "And she dumped Caleb Shaw. The word is she got bored of him. Without his backer, he's got no resources, no career. Last I heard, he was doing paid shout-out videos on TikTok to make rent." Sarah sighed. I think breaking up with her was the best thing that ever happened to you. You two were never on the same path." Just as she said that, we pulled up to the studio. Through the window, I saw Isabella's car arriving at the same time. She stepped out of the back seat in a stunning evening gown, followed only by her assistant. For the first time in 7 years, she was at an event without a man on her arm. Her head turned, and for a split second, our eyes met. I looked away and turned back to Sarah. "You're right," I said. "We never were." Then I got out of the car. Inside, Marcus Thorne came right up to me. "Leo," he said, extending a hand. "I was wondering if you'd still be interested in my film." I was floored. A director of his stature didn't usually chase after actors. I had to go through hell and back just to get an audition with him the first time. He must have read the surprise on my face. "After your audition, I knew you were the one for the role," he explained, a hint of apology in his tone. "I always wanted you. But the money had other ideas." My hands were tied. I knew he meant Isabella. I just smiled. "I'd be honored, Marcus. I'll have my agent draw up the contract." Later that night, my performance went off without a hitch. But as the applause died down, I didn't immediately leave the stage. Instead, I looked out at the sea of cameras and the live audience of millions. "Before I go," I said into the microphone, my voice clear and steady, "I have some personal news I'd like to share. I'm getting married, and I'd like to invite all of you to celebrate with us. My agent will be sending out the invitations soon." A stunned silence fell over the crowd. In the front row, I saw Isabella's eyes widen in shock. She picked up her glass and drained it in one gulp. When she looked back up at me, her eyes were bloodshot. She made a move to stand, but her assistant quickly pulled her back down. I watched her, my expression calm, my heart steady. Then I walked off stage and told Sarah to take me home. Just as the car pulled away from the curb, my phone rang. An unknown number. I answered. It was Isabella. Her voice was thick with tears. "Leo, you're getting married?" "Yes." The single word was enough to make her break down completely. I had never heard her lose control like this. She was a woman of iron will, someone who had weathered countless corporate and personal storms. Crying was not her style. When she spoke again, her voice was a raw whisper. "I know I was wrong. I called off the engagement. I gave you everything back. I don't want to be the Croft heiress anymore. Can't you?" I cut her off before she could finish. "No, it's too late. I don't love you anymore." I said the words as bluntly as possible. I needed her to understand that there was no hope left. A pained sound, like a wounded animal, came from her end of the line. I'm sorry," she sobbed, the words tumbling out between breaths. "If I could do it all over again, I would never have hurt you. There are no do-overs," I told her. And if I could do it all over again, I would wish we had never met. My words seemed to be the final, crushing blow. She just kept whispering, I'm sorry, over and over. But no amount of apologies could change what was done. I ended the call and told the driver to head for the airport. I was going home, and for the entire journey, all I could think about was getting there faster, because someone was waiting for me.